Hello. I'm so glad that you're taking time for your personal practice. This video assumes that you have some experience with yoga and are relatively healthy. If you are unsure if this is safe for you, email me at charles@yogateacher.com for advice. Once we begin, looking at your screen may throw off your alignment, so try to follow along by listening to the verbal instructions. Only look at your screen when you are unsure of what you are doing and need additional information. If you need more time in a pose, you are welcome to pause the video or rewind. Now, let's begin. Bring your hands into prayer position. Namaste. Take a moment to relax your face, your jaws, your lips, your tongue, your mouth, and gently begin to move your head without straining or stretching, allowing your head to float to the left and to the right. And as you allow the head to move around gently, keep coming back to the face, the eyes, the tongue, the cheeks. Begin to use your shoulders in conjunction with your head to create delicate stretches in the neck and shoulders, alternating sides. Coming back to center. Allow the breath to be deep and full and fluid. Coming into our first twist, leading with the left shoulder blade. Draw the shoulder blade around. Lift the chest, draw the shoulder blade in and down, reaching around with your left fingertips for the floor, and cross your right hand over the left knee. Lifting, expanding, rotating, and then breathing into that with a nice, deep, complete breath. Breathing into the upper back, mid-back, low back, and then more fully into the abdomen, the belly, the ribs, the chest, and the shoulders. Take another breath or two, and when you're ready, come back to center. And this time leading with the right shoulder blade, drawing the shoulder blade around and down as you lift your heart through, crossing the left hand over the right knee. Lifting through the spine, broadening through the shoulder girdle, the chest lifting, the right shoulder blade drawing in, hugging the spine, drawing down the back as you lift the heart, and then breathing deeply into the twist. And then coming back to center. And now rolling out the shoulder blades, and then undulating and circling with the rib cage. First in one direction and then reversing directions. Allowing the shoulder blades to participate with this movement. And then coming back to center. And then coming into a hip opening. Sitting cross-legged and comfortably, and then from the hip sockets leaning forward. If this causes any discomfort in the knee joint, lift the knees and support with your arms. You can experiment with repositioning your feet, moving the knees in closer or wider. You can lean a little left or a little right, or walk the feet away from you. If you need a bigger stretch, you can stack the legs, placing your left heel on top of your right knee. Use the exhale to help relax and release the muscles in the hips. Occasionally moving, leaning left, leaning right will help to calm the muscles. And we'll do a second hip opening, repeating with the same leg variation you used the first time, but with the opposite foot in front or on top. As you lean into the stretch, try not to stretch the muscles too strongly or too quickly. This should feel pleasant, not unpleasant. Undulating, leaning, rocking. Breathing in deep, using a long exhale. To help calm and relax the muscles that you're working with. Take a breath or two. When you're finished, extend the legs, bounce the knees, roll side to side, and then coming into Dandasana. Internally rotate the thighs so that the outside of your feet are perpendicular to the floor. Draw the flesh out from the sit bones. Rotate the pelvis forward. Fingertips on the floor, even with your hips. Don't slouch. If your hamstrings are tight, bend the knees and straighten the back. It's more important to have a straight back than to have straight legs. Use your core to lift, not your hands. And then breathing into this position. Again, the legs can be straight if the hamstrings are flexible enough, the knees bent if your hamstrings are tight. And then lifting through with the chest, rolling the shoulders back and down. Shift your weight over to your left hip, swing the legs around behind you, coming to table. Knees spread hip width apart, hands shoulder width or a little bit wider. Spread your fingers really, really wide with the middle finger pointing straight ahead, cat-cow. Start each movement from the tailbone, finish with the head. On the exhale, tuck the tailbone, round low back, mid back, upper back, and then tuck the chin. Finish exhaling. Broaden the upper back. Then lift the tailbone, breathe into the belly, open the chest, lift the head, and finish breathing in to the front of the chest and the collarbones. Moving with the breath. On the inhale, lifting the tailbone, opening the belly, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, roll the shoulder blades back. On the exhale, tuck the tailbone round, low back, mid back, upper back, tuck the chin. And then pushing back into an extended child's pose. Knees a little bit wider than the rib cage, hips sinking back towards your heels, the arms extended out in front of you, forehead resting on the floor, and then breathing into this position and relaxing. If you prefer, you can reach your hands behind your back, or you can let them rest on the floor close to the ankles. Whichever position feels more comfortable to you. Now coming back up and coming upright for camel pose. Knees spread hip width apart. Take your left arm reaching behind you. Roll the left shoulder blade in and down. Take your hips forward. Lift your chest. Arching back with a slight twist looking over your left shoulder. The chest draws forward and up. The right shoulder draws back and down. Switching sides, reaching back with your right hand. Place the hand on your hip on the thigh or reach for your foot. Take your hips forward, lift your chest, take the left shoulder back and down, and then breathing into the twist with a deep, full breath. And then coming back to center and placing your hands on the floor for table, and then cat-cow. Again, working with the breath, lifting the head and the tailbone on the inhalation, tucking the tailbone and head, rounding the back on the exhale. Walk your hands in close to your knees, tuck your toes, lift your hips, and walk your way into a standing forward bend. If your low back is vulnerable, come up a little higher with your hands on your thighs, and if it feels okay, you can lean into a deeper stretch. Alternate legs, bend one knee, and then bend the opposite knee, stretching one side and then the other. And then bend both knees as you come up a little bit. Focus on lifting the tailbone to create the stretch, sinking the belly. And then roll up, letting the knees buckle as your hands pass the kneecaps, coming to Tadasana, mountain pose. Standing in the middle of your mat, feet hip width. Float the arms overhead, and then pandiculating. Pandiculating is just a way of stretching without thinking and breathing, the way a kid stretches in bed or a cat stretches when it wakes up from a nap. And see if you can use that to trigger a yawn in the body. Yawning 2 or 3 times. And then coming back to center. Checking your alignment. Toes spread. Quadriceps engaged. Hands in prayer position. Sweep up and overhead on the inhale. And then release either into a partial forward bend or, if it feels okay, into a full forward bend. Roll up, let the knees buckle as your hands pass the kneecaps. Float the arms overhead on the inhale. And then floating down into a stretch of the hamstrings on the exhale. Rolling up, letting the knees buckle. Continuing this with your own rhythm of breathing. Notice that as you come into your forward bend, you take your hips and reach them back. That prevents the low back from tightening up. Remember to buckle the knees, not too soon though. Wait until the wrist passes the kneecaps to buckle the knees, stacking the vertebrae one at a time like a rag doll. On your own. Continue, drawing your focus to your breath and the quality of your breathing. Fluid, smooth, wave-like. Rolling up like a rag doll and then working the overhead stretch a little more strongly. On your next repetition, hold the overhead stretch. Add a side stretch, lift the right heel, flare the left ribs. Lift the left heel, flare the right ribs. Reach with the ribs and the shoulder, not the hand. Go side to side. Try and do this in a way that feels good. And then a little bit of a back bend, lift the heart through, the weight shifts into the balls of the toes, the heels are light, the chest is lifting, and not the hands, but the shoulder blades draw back and down as the chest pushes forward and up. Finish with the supported forward bend. Hands on your thighs. Your back is straight. Lift the tailbone, knees bent slightly, sink the belly, stretch the hamstrings. If it feels safe and pleasant, release into a full forward bend. Take a few breaths, stretch the exhale, release the back of the body, especially the back of the neck, letting the head hang, lazy and loose. If it feels good, lean in a little deeper and then roll up, buckling the knees, coming back to standing. Step up to the very front of your mat. Bring your hands into prayer position. Full 12-step sun salutation. Sweep up on the inhale. Place your fingertips on the floor, even with your big toes not in front. Lift the right foot. Float it back as far as you can, slowly, and then come into a lunge, high lunge or low lunge with the knee on the floor. And then step back into plank. Now, as you come down, slowly with control, try to keep your hips a little higher than your chest as you're coming down, the elbows tucked in. Pull through into cobra. Roll the shoulders back, reach the chest forward, no weight in the hands, using your back muscles. Then press back into downward facing dog. This is our first down dog of the class. So bend one knee and reach to the opposite heel, go side to side. Wiggle the hips, roll the shoulder blades, and then settle into the pose. Begin to draw your chest through towards your feet. Point your tailbone to the ceiling. The next transition is the most difficult for many people. If you have a favorite way of stepping through, fine. If you struggle with it, first set your left knee on the floor, lift your right hand, then step the right foot through. Try to bring your foot all the way back up to the starting position, lunging on the inhale, stepping up with the left leg into a forward bend on the exhale. Rolling up, bending the knees, or hinging up if you prefer. Overhead stretch on the inhale, back to prayer. And then release the arms as you breathe out. Float the arms overhead as you breathe in. Reach the hips back. Place your fingertips level with your big toe. Left foot lifts, floats back. Low lunge or high lunge if you prefer. Stepping the right foot back into plank. Straight line from your heels to your hips to your shoulders, and then pressing down, keep the elbows tucked in, roll through, roll the shoulders back, the chest draws through into cobra. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, reach the chest forward, draw the shoulder blades together and down. Then tuck the toes, push back into downward facing dog. Again, give yourself a few moments to adjust, to wiggle, to roll, to undulate, and then settling into the pose a little bit more deeply this time. Reach the sit bones away, lift the tailbone towards the ceiling, reach the heels towards the floor. When you're ready, set the right knee on the floor, lift the left hand, step the left foot up, lunge on the inhale, standing forward bend on the exhale. Hinge up or roll up with the knees buckling. Overhead stretch as you breathe in. Back to prayer. Release the arms, sweep overhead as you breathe in. 2 more repetitions. Reach the hips back. Place your fingertips level with the big toe. Step the right leg back slowly into a deep lunge. High lunge if you want, low lunge if you prefer. Stepping back to plank, pressing down carefully, draw through, roll the shoulders back, press the tops of the feet into the floor, reach the chest forward, roll the shoulders back and down. Cobra. You can use your hands to accentuate the lift a little bit if you prefer. If you want to work harder, keep your forehead close to the floor during the transition to down dog. Draw your chest through towards your feet. Float your shoulder blades away from the feet. Reach the sit bones towards the ceiling. Lengthen the spine. If you struggle with the transition, set the left knee on the floor. If you want to try stepping through, just step the right foot all the way up to the fingertips and then follow with the left leg. And overhead, stretch on the inhalation and then back to prayer. Release the arms on the exhale, float overhead on the inhale. Reach the hips back, fingertips to the floor even with the big toe. Left foot floats back into a deep lunge, high lunge if you're able to, and then stepping back with both legs into plank. Keep the elbows tucked in, leading down with the chest. Pull through into Cobra. Press the tops of the feet down, reach the chest forward. Any way of transitioning to down dog is fine. If you want to work a little harder, try to keep your forehead as close to the floor as you can during the transition. Breathing into downward facing dog. Reaching through the sit bones. If you know how to spiral the arms, root through the knuckle of the index finger, hollow the inner armpits, broaden the upper back. Float the shoulder blades away from the feet, draw the chest towards the feet. Transitioning with the left leg stepping through into a lunge, the right leg following into a standing forward bend. An overhead stretch as you breathe in and then back to prayer. Notice your breath. Smooth and steady, letting your heart settle, the breath normalize. Stepping your feet wide, turn the right foot out, lift the left heel, swing it wide. The back leg is straight and strong, the hip sockets are opening, the groin is opening, both thighs are rolling away from each other. And then the upper body floats on that foundation. Strengthen the legs as you breathe in, and use your exhale to soften unnecessary tension from the hands, the arms, the shoulders, the face on the exhale. Focus on working the legs as you breathe in. Focus on relaxing the rest of the body as you breathe out. Switching sides when you're ready, turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in. Straighten and strengthen the back leg, sink into that back hip socket. As you bend the left knee, the knee should be above the heel, not out over the toes. The center of the kneecap should be lined up with the second toe. Keep the pelvic floor firm, keep the abdomen firm, float the chest, sink the shoulder blades, open the heart, and breathing into Virabhadrasana 2. This is a warrior pose, so focus on strengthening the legs, especially on the inhalation, but remembering to relax the rest of the body as you breathe out. Forward bend. The feet fairly wide, the heels wider than the little toe. Sway a little left, a little right. Bend one knee, and keeping that knee bent, lean towards the straight leg, and then walk your hands around and lean into the bent leg. Move your hips around, looking for different varieties of stretching. Try to create stretches and move them around and through the body. Straighten the right leg, bend the left knee, cross to the opposite side, lean into the straight leg, and then walk your hands around and lean into the bent leg. Feeling your way through safe, healthy, pleasant sensations, and then coming back to center. Now with both legs straight, walk your hands to the left, to the right, forward, or reach through the legs behind you. Take a breath or two, and then hop your feet together or step them together if you prefer. Roll up, letting the knees buckle. Coming to Tadasana. If you need a block, take your block in your right hand. Step your feet apart for revolved triangle. Place the block on the floor close to the right foot, to the inside or outside of the foot. Place your left hand on the block and rotate your hips, bringing the left hip around and forward and reaching the right hip away. As you begin to rotate, use your right shoulder blade to draw back and allow the shoulder blade to lead the arm. Carry the weight with your legs, pressing out through both feet and taking as much of the weight off the block as possible. When you're finished, come back to Tadasana. Stepping back with the right foot, holding the block in your right hand and placing it on the inside or outside of the left foot. As you rotate, lead with the left shoulder blade drawing back, opening the chest. Try to roll the right hip forward, reach the left hip back, opening up through the back of the left hamstring. If your back calf is a little tight, you can allow the back heel to float off the ground, or if it's comfortable, push through the heel. When you're finished, step up into Tadasana. Holding the block in your right hand, turn the right foot out at 90 degrees, bend the right knee, lean forward, and place the block on the floor about 12 inches in front of the right foot. Float the back foot off the ground, and then first opening with your hips, rolling the left hip up, then rolling the left shoulder up. Taking the weight off the block, make sure the block is used just to stabilize you. Your weight should be in your heel, not your toes, and certainly not in your right hand on the block. Relax into this position and breathe comfortably. And then stepping back to Tadasana. Holding the block in your left hand, placing it on the floor 12 inches in front of the left foot. Float the right foot off the ground, roll the right hip up, opening the groin, roll the right shoulder up and back. Try to shift your weight back into your left heel, taking some of the weight out of the left arm and the block. Allow the breath to be fluid and focus on relaxing any tension not necessary to support you in this pose. Bringing your feet to the floor and then relaxing into a forward bend. And then rolling up to Tadasana. Next we'll be working with Virabhadrasana 1. Step your right foot forward, your left foot back. Nice wide position. Bend the right knee and then bring the left hip around. If you're tight in the hips, which most people are, allow the back heel to float off the ground in order to fully rotate your hips so your pelvis is facing straight ahead. Keep the back leg straight and strong, pushing through the back heel. When you're ready, step up and then step back with the right foot. Bend the left knee. Rotate your hips facing straight ahead. Straighten the right leg. Reach through the right heel. Sink into the hips. The left knee bent to 90 degrees. Keep the abdomen firm, the pelvic floor lifted, the chest lifting through, the shoulder blades drawing back and down. Keeping the breath moving steady. And then coming back to Tadasana. Releasing into a supported forward bend, using your hands on the thighs to carry the weight, or if you prefer, hanging into a full forward bend. When you're ready, bend the knees, roll back up to standing. Next, we'll be practicing Virabhadrasana 3, which requires strength and balance. For today, we're going to help the balance by using something to brace our hands, like a shelf or a table or the back of a chair. Resting your little fingers on your support, imagine holding a basketball between the palms. And then walk your feet back until your heels are under the hips, fully extended. Sink your chest, and then see if you can lift through the shoulder blades. Float the shoulder blades up, sink the chest down. If that's difficult, think about lifting through the inner armpits. You want to work a little harder. Alternately, lift one hand off your support and then the opposite hand. And as you do that, see if you can continue sinking the chest down and floating the shoulder blades up. If you get tired, allow your arms to carry more of your weight and lower the back leg. And if you have a little bit more energy, continue lifting the back leg a little higher, sinking the chest and taking some of the weight off of the hands. When you're ready, come back to your original position, both feet on the ground, fully extended, hands resting on the brace. Sink the chest, float the shoulder blades, broaden through the shoulders, and then take the right leg and extend it back and lift. As you lift the right leg, try to sink the chest, float the inner armpits up, or even better, lift up through the shoulder blades and sink the chest towards the floor. If you get tired, allow the hands to support more of your weight, and if you want to work harder, try floating one hand off of the support and then the opposite, or even both. Take a few more breaths here. Again, if you're getting tired, allow the support to carry more of your weight, or lower the right leg a little. And then, when you're ready, bring the right foot down to the floor, and then allowing the support to carry more weight with your hands. Sink the chest, lift through the shoulder blades or the inner armpits, broaden the upper back, and breathe into this. And then coming back to Tadasana. Next, we'll be working with Dancer. If you struggle with your balance, you can do this close to a wall or anything that you can hold onto to steady yourself. With your left hand, grab the left ankle and lift the foot off the ground, take it behind you, and then with your left leg begin to reach away, pulling back on the left shoulder. The right hand reaches out and up in front of you. If you struggle with your balance, just lightly touch the wall or chair or any object to steady yourself with your right hand. If you're feeling stable, float the right arm up. When you're finished, come back to Tadasana, and then lift the right foot off the ground. Reach back with your right hand, grab the ankle behind you. Float the left arm up, reaching out in front of you. Tilt forward from the hips. Begin to kick back with your right foot in order to pull back on the right shoulder. Reach forward through the left arm. Breathe into this. Come back to Tadasana. Next, we'll be working with a back roll. If you don't have a roller that you like, any blanket will do as long as it's fairly firm. Mexican blankets work well, wool blankets work well. The firmer the better. A beach towel can be a substitute. Starting from one end, roll, and roll very, very tightly. Try and get all the air, squeeze the air out. Drag the blanket or beach towel towards you as you're rolling. The nice thing about a rolled up blanket is you can unroll it so you can control just exactly how big or small it needs to be. You'll be placing the roll underneath your upper back with your head and arms extended out over the roller. Your arms can be positioned with them straight. If that's a little bit too much or awkward, you can bend the elbows and bring the arms out to the side, but keep the arms above the roller. If you lower the arms below the roller, the back arches and the neck arches too much, so the arms above the roller, out to the side, overhead, or anywhere in between. Now, focus on breathing and relaxing. And over the next few minutes, we'll gradually be working our way down the spine. When you decide you're ready to adjust, you'll lift your hips and then push yourself over the roller just 1 inch, 1 vertebra, and then set your hips back down on the floor and relax again. 1 vertebra at a time, working your way down the spine. If it gets too intense, unroll the blanket to make it easier. If it's too easy, roll the blanket up more, or use a bigger blanket, or fold the blanket in half lengthwise and then roll it up for a bigger roller. Take a couple more minutes. Breathing and relaxing. Occasionally repositioning. If you finish early, go back to a favorite position to finish up. Ten or 15 more breaths. When you're ready to come out, lift your hips, remove the roller, draw your knees into your chest and rock from side to side, releasing any tension from the low back. Interlace your fingers behind your neck, keeping your knees over your chest, working with abdominal core. Lift the pelvic floor, hollow the abdomen, draw the intestines up under the rib cage, press the kidneys down, curl your upper back off the floor, and then any variations. You can alternate, bringing the left elbow towards the right knee and switching sides. You can straighten the opposite leg away if you need more work. You can straighten both legs a little bit or all the way. Make sure, though, that you aren't arching the low back. You can also do scissor kicks with your legs to help engage the transverse muscles a little bit more. Any favorite way of engaging abdominal muscles is fine. When you're finished, hug your knees, rock side to side, once again taking a few moments to release the low back, prevent compression. Now coming around onto your hands and knees in table, and then coming down onto your stomach for cobra. Place your hands well behind the shoulders, wrists under the elbows. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, shrug the shoulders, lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back, and reach the chest forward. Keep the shoulder blades engaged. Keep the knees lifting off the ground slightly. Try to engage where you feel the back muscles getting just the right amount of work. Pushing back into downward dog when you're ready. If you want to do turbo dog, bend the elbows and reach your elbows almost to the floor to make it more challenging. When you're ready, come back to table and then bring the right leg through for pigeon with the heel close to the left hand. Walk your left leg to the left and forward to diminish the stretch. Walk the left leg back and to the right to increase the intensity of the stretch. Start gently. Relax. Notice how the body is responding, and then decide whether or not to back off further or perhaps to work your way a little deeper into the stretch. Once again, make good use of each exhalation, stretching the exhale into a sigh, and with each breath, relaxing into the sensation, calming the muscles in the hips. As you calm the mind and the breath. When you're ready, step back into downward facing dog. And then bringing the left leg forward into pigeon pose. Once again, control the intensity by repositioning the back leg, moving the right leg to the right and forward to ease up, working the right leg back into the left to intensify. Find a gentle stretch, relax into it for a few breaths. If it feels good and you feel the hips releasing, then you can think about perhaps working your way a little deeper. On the other hand, if you feel the muscles resisting the stretch, back away. Stretching the exhale into a sigh, using the exhale to calm the nervous system, to calm the muscles. When you're finished, push back into down dog, and then flip around onto your back. Bring the knees to your chest, roll your knees to the right, and then lengthen the right side of the rib cage, lifting the shoulders, extending, setting them down, and then twisting to the left. If you have any trouble with the left shoulder, you can experiment with bending the elbow, raising it, lowering it, rotating it. Make sure that it feels comfortable and that you aren't straining. Once you find a comfortable position, focus on breathing. Practice a complete back breath. Breathe into the upper back, mid back, low back, into the belly, into the ribs, into the chest, into the shoulders, and especially into the left shoulder, letting the shoulder lift a little bit as you breathe in. And then on the exhale, let that left arm get heavy as you breathe out. Switching sides when you're ready. Come back to center. Bring the knees up to your chest. Roll to your left. Lift the shoulders, reach them away from the hips, set them down. With your left hand, hold the top knee, and then with your right arm, extend out and rotate into a twisted position. Again, with the right arm, you can bend the elbow to make it lighter, extend it to make it heavier. You can reposition it, raising it higher up closer to your ear, or bringing it down level with the shoulders or below. If that doesn't work, you can rest your hand on your forehead, or you can rest your hand on your heart. What's important is that you aren't creating any strain in the right shoulder. Breathe into this with a nice, deep, complete breath, stretching the exhale. Take a few more slow, deep, complete breaths. And then come back to center, draw your knees in, rock side to side. We'll be closing our practice with Shavasana. If you want to use some support for your head, take a blanket and roll from one side. That will be the position for the neck. Roll it larger or smaller, depending on what feels right to you. The other side you fold once or twice, and that goes under your head. This way you can control both the height of the neck and the height of the head to get a custom fit. If you don't need a blanket, focus on lengthening the back of your neck away from your shoulders. Check your body for symmetry. The feet spread evenly, the arms spread evenly. If you have any low back discomfort or the potential for low back discomfort over time, keep the knees bent. And you can take the feet wider, let the knees fall towards each other, or you can bring the feet together, let the knees fall out. Or if you have a bolster handy or a chair, you can put that underneath your knees to support you. What's important is that you're absolutely comfortable so that your body is not a distraction to the meditation. The shoulder blades draw together and down. The back of the neck lengthens. And again, checking your body for symmetry, expansiveness, but most importantly for comfort. If you aren't sure about your breathing, place one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest. And as you breathe diaphragmatically, the belly should expand and rise, lifting as you breathe in, sinking as you breathe out, while the chest remains still. If you're new to pranayama, to breath control, laying down is the best position to practice in. Keep practicing this way until you feel comfortable, and if you're comfortable with the breath, release both arms back to the floor. Now beginning a progressive relaxation. If you want to take a moment and stretch your face, open the mouth, pull the lips into a small O, move the teeth apart until you feel the cheeks stretch. Lift the eyebrows, roll the eyes up to the top of your head, stretching your face lengthwise. Take a breath and release. And then coming back to the breath. Slow, smooth, diaphragmatic breathing into the belly. And with each exhale, begin relaxing your face, your forehead, your eyebrows, your eyelids, the eyeballs, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, and the mouth. Fingers, hands, arms, and shoulders. Feet, ankles, calves, knees, and thighs. Take a deeper breath. Let the arms and the legs, let them fall away with a sigh. Relaxing the buttocks and the hips, the low back, the belly. Feel the belly rise and expand as you breathe in, settling as you breathe out. Relaxing the low back, the mid back, the chest, the shoulder blades, and the collarbones. Relaxing the back of the neck and softening the throat. The jaws, the lips, the tongue, the tip of the tongue, the belly of the tongue, the root of the tongue. All the way down the throat, softening, melting from the tip of the tongue all the way down to the belly. Relaxing the cheeks and especially the eyeballs, the space behind, beneath, around, between the eyes. Allow the eyeballs to sink into the back of your head, as if your head were a pillow, and the eyeballs sinking into that pillow to rest. Relaxing the eyelids, the eyebrows, the forehead. Let the temples grow soft and hollow. And relaxing the scalp and the crown. As you bring your attention back to the breath. Watching and feeling the body as it breathes in and as it breathes out. Let go of time consciousness and know that I'll bring you back up in a few minutes. Until then, listen to the sound of your own breath, and with each exhalation, allow yourself to melt deeper and deeper into your meditation. Gently spread the fingers, feel the air between the fingers, between the toes, and then lazily, slowly moving into a lazy stretch. Yawning. Stretching, arching, twisting, bending. Breathing a little more deeply. When you're ready, roll to one side, and then pushing yourself up over your knees into a comfortable seated position. I'd like to thank you for joining us and for taking time to practice with us. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.